Okay, let me tell you a little bit about my personal favorite, the Nomol trap. As you can see, it's a small wire tong, approximately 8 inches in length, and it has this wire loop that's used as a trigger. The Nomol works like all of the others in that you form an obstruction in the tunnel, and the mole, when it tries to push or pull that obstruction out of its way, gets caught by the trap. And you simply set this trap by squeezing the tongs open and placing that wire loop, which is the trigger, between the jaws of the Nomol so that it holds them open. When the mole tunnels and hits that loop and pushes or pulls it out of the way, the jaws snap shut on the mole, like that. It's as simple as that. You set these back to back in pairs, one in each direction, and it's the only trap that I'm aware of that can catch not only moles, but shrews and voles as well. After my inspection of the yard, I've selected this long, straight tunnel where we're going to set 2 Nomol traps back to back. As you can see, I still have the set trap in my hand, and the loop is approximately 3/4 of an inch in front of where the tongs cross, and that's where you want to set that loop for this particular trap. I would like to point out that you should practice with the Nomol trap before going out in the field. That's where we found that folks really need to get the feel of the trap before they go out to set it. I'm going to put this one down now and get ready to set these traps. And I like to use these rubber-coated gloves when I'm out in the field. They keep my hands clean. I don't like just a cloth glove or a leather glove, especially if you're working in wet soil. They'll get wet, your hands will get dirty, and because this is my business, I'm going from call to call to call, and I like to have my hands clean when I meet a customer. So let's go ahead and set this trap. I carry all of my utensils or tools in a basket, as I've shown you before. This is the trowel that I use. It's got a 2-inch blade on it, and it's a perfect trowel for setting the Nomol trap. The way that I set these traps is, we've selected our tunnel, and I'll punch right through the roof of that tunnel, put my hand over it, and lay a flap back. It really is very simple, and when I'm done, the area around where the trap is set, the only thing that you're going to see are 2 wooden pegs that are holding the trap in place and my fluorescent flag that marks the spot where the trap is set. It not only lets me know where the trap is, but it also lets the homeowner know, landscapers, if they're mowing the lawn, etc., they can avoid the trap. I've opened the tunnel now, and what do we see first thing but an earthworm? And that's why the moles are here in the first place. Okay, they're looking for those earthworms. This happens to be a very rich soil, as you can see, and there's lots of moles. Now I'd like to show you how we set the Nomol trap. Again, we set them in pairs, back to back, 1 in each direction, so that you can possibly catch 2 different animals, depending on how they're traveling in the tunnel. Let me put this trap down, and again I use the end of my trowel to smooth the tunnel in both directions, and just place that handle in there and gently press against the walls and the floor of the tunnel and kind of smooth that out in preparation for placing your Nomol trap. This one does take a little bit of a turn here, but again, I'm using that handle of my trowel to smooth that tunnel out. Then I take a Nomol trap. This one is set, and again, the loop is approximately 3/4 of an inch in front of where the tongs cross. You want that mole's body completely into the trap when they try to move that obstruction. My tunnels are smoothed in both directions now, and I just take that trap and I slide it in to the tunnel as far as you can. sometimes, so all you can see is the back ring of the spring, but at least as far as where that loop was placed between the tongs. Then what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of dirt from the site, I'll make a ball with it in my hand. It doesn't have to be a piece of sod, it can just be a dirt ball, and I'll plug that hole so that there's no light into that tunnel. I use wooden dowels to stake them down, as we talked about. It's just a short 6-inch 3/8 dowel, and I'll stake that trap down. Now I repeat the operation in the opposite direction so that we have 2 traps back to back at each location. I take another Nomol trap out of my basket. Again, I hold it in my right hand, pick up the loop, squeeze and open the tong, and place that loop, again, about 3/4 of an inch in front of where they cross. Then I take this trap that's set and I'll slide it again in that opposing direction. Not all of your tunnels are going to take a turn. You're trying for those longest, straightest tunnels again, but again, you're dealing with a wild animal. This one just decided to turn here. What's nice about the Nomol is that it's versatile enough that you can accommodate those situations. I've placed the trap in the tunnel again. As you can see, you can just see the back end of the trap. The loop is all the way into the tunnel, somewhere up in this area. I'll grab some dirt from the location. It doesn't hurt to take some from the bottom of the hole as well. And I'll ball that up in my hand. Another reason why I like these rubber gloves. My hands don't get dirty. Just ball it right up and plug the hole so that there's no light that's entering that tunnel. Take another dowel, as I showed you on the previous trap, and stake it down. For all intents and purposes, I'm done setting those traps now. The last thing that I'm going to do is roll that flap. The soil is a little bit loose here, but roll the flap of dirt back to the best of your ability and kind of fluff up the grass. And many times, the only thing you're going to see are the 2 dowels sticking out of the ground. So I'll go ahead and do that. Roll this right back into location. Kind of place it. Really, you're just seeing the dowel and maybe a little bit of the residual dirt that I took out of the hole. The last thing that I do is I take a fluorescent flag, a surveyor's flag. I buy them in packs of 100 at local hardware stores, and I'll flag that location, letting me know that that's where the traps are set, so that when I come back to check them, I don't waste time looking for traps. And also for the homeowner or landscapers that are mowing the yard, they can mow on both sides of this trap location and not disturb the mole traps. Unlike the other traps shown here, the Nomol is the only trap that's going to work on all of the most commonly encountered lawn pests, including shrews, voles, and star-nosed moles, all of which contribute to lawn tunneling and property damage. While we check our mole traps approximately every 3 days, your local laws may require a different interval. Make sure you know what your local laws are and be sure you're in compliance. Our experience has been that the average problem yard in the Northeast contains 1 to 3 moles. We've had as many as 7, however this number varies greatly by geographic area, weather conditions, and food availability.